As an MMORPG, it's inevitable that new players of MapleStory will get overwhelmed by the vast sea of content and grindy gameplay. With the game having over 15 years of content, it can be confusing to know what is outdated and what is relevant in its present version. However, once a player understands the fundamentals of the game, they'll be able to have an easier and more enjoyable time with what Maple has to offer. MapleStory's gameplay centers around a PvE experience where you explore and fight through the Maple world in a 2D platform setting. Players will explore dungeons, complete quests, and fight through monsters and bosses in order to get stronger. The game features a huge cast of characters to play as, all with different storylines, backgrounds, and skills. Since characters are server locked, it's actually more important to find the right server for you. For more information on characters and servers, please check out our other guides. The game receives updates regularly with new content, events, and patches, so the goal for players is to improve their characters over time so that they can participate in tougher and newer content. They achieve this with various systems in the game that makes their characters stronger, and players looking to go into the toughest parts of the game would want to maximize their growth from all these systems. MapleStory characters are divided into 5 classes, which determine what their main ability point stat will be, what skills they can get, and what equipment they can wear. Ability points, or AP for short, is one of the many metrics to show how strong a character is. Every level, a character is rewarded AP to allocate into their stats, but it's easiest to just use the auto-assign button to let the game distribute the points. It's worth noting that all characters have a secondary stat which gives a minor boost to their damage, and some characters even use a tertiary stat as well. We have made a spreadsheet that shows all characters' primary, secondary, and tertiary stats, which you can check out in the description below, along with many other resources you can use for more details about the subjects on this guide. Characters are also divided into class groupings, which determine the character's lore and where they begin in the Maple world. So if you and your friends choose characters from different groups, it can take a little bit of time before you can meet up with them. Characters within the same groupings also share cash inventories, and can transfer cash items and equips freely around with each other through the cash shop. To transfer normal equipment and items between characters, you can simply talk to the storage NPCs found in towns. When a character reaches levels 10, 30, 60, 100, and 200, they can job advance and learn a variety of new active and passive skills. The exception to this are Zero and Beast Tamer, who do not have job advancements and instead use their own unique system to unlock and upgrade their skills. As characters level, they will also earn skill points to use for learning and enhancing skills, and when characters are leveled high enough, they will earn enough skill points to max out all their skills in every job advancement, again with the exception of Beast Tamers. Most characters' skills in the 4th job advancement are capped at level 10 and require mastery books to raise the skill caps to the maximum levels. Evans and Dual Blades also have special mastery books needed to max their skills from different job advancements. There are many ways to get mastery books, but the most direct way would be to buy them with Meso from a town's general store. However, there are plenty of ways to get mastery books for free, including the Root Abyss coin shop, the Silent Crusade NPC shop, and more. At level 140, characters unlock the Hyperstats and Hyperskills windows. Hyperstats are like AP, where you are rewarded some every time you level, but instead they can be allocated to a variety of stats ranging from critical rate, boss damage, or even bonus experience. Hyperskills can be best described as an extension of the 4th job advancement, as characters use these skill points to enhance skills from the 4th job and learn only a few new skills. At any point, if you mess up any of your character's stat or skill builds, you can reset them at the exchange of some Meso. When characters reach their 5th job advancement, the game switches to a completely different system for skills called nodes, which we will have a detailed guide for in the future. From this overview, MapleStory doesn't offer a lot of depth in character building through their traits and skills, but instead offers it in other areas of the game, such as in equipment upgrading and learning mechanics for boss fights. The quest notifier on the left side of the screen is where you can access the main quest lines of the Maple world. Completing these quest lines will reward you with equipment and helpful items, or will unlock a boss or a new area. Because there are many quests offered here, we've made a reference sheet that you can use to find more detailed information about the quest lines and which ones that we recommend you do. The star icon displays quests for events that are currently happening, which can be also seen with the event window. Typically, you need to be at least level 101 to unlock all of the available events, so it's best to get there as soon as possible if you want to experience all of the events fully. The pink gift box represents the Maple reward points system. Reward points can be farmed from various ways by playing the game, and they are considered as a special type of premium currency that can be used to buy limited items from the cash shop or be used to get a discount off cash shop purchases with NX Prepaid. The last icon that you will typically see is used to unlock the familiar system. A more detailed guide on reward points and the familiar system will be released on our channel in the future. Sometimes there will be additional icons like free gifts from the game admins, so make sure to keep an eye out on that left side. Most of the game's windows can be accessed with the 6 menu buttons near the bottom of the screen, and some of these windows are defaulted to a keybind. You are free to change these keybinds to anything you find more comfortable, and different players will have different priorities for what windows to keybind. The only keybinds that are hard-coded into the game are the arrow keys and 0 on the numpad, which is used as the loot key. We suggest most players have a keybind for the windows listed here, as these are the windows that are used the most. When customizing keybinds, one tip many people recommend is to assign the Interact Harvest key, also known as the NPC chat key, to Y, as pressing Y also defaults to saying yes to NPCs, allowing players to speed through dialogue really quickly by holding the key down. However, that runs the risk of skipping important information, so some players may prefer not to do that. Items and skills can also be assigned to keybinds by clicking and dragging them into a slot in the keybind settings. They can also be dragged into the quick slot bar at the bottom right, which can be customized to display any keys you want. We recommend customizing the quick slot bar to show potions and skills with cooldowns to keep track of them. When characters use or receive buffs, they will appear at the top right corner of the screen. Since most buff skills have no cooldown on them, it's useful to keep track of their durations to keep them up all the time. If you receive a buff that you don't want, you can right-click the buff to cancel it, but please note that some buffs are unable to be cancelled. Character skills are also able to be combined into one key using a macro command, which just like any other skill, can be assigned to a keybind. Grouping skills with similar buff durations into a macro can also make recasting buffs a lot easier and can reduce keyboard clutter. Certain characters will also benefit from having their attacking skills macros together, such as Shadower's Boomerang Stab or Assassinate with Flip of the Coin, or Blaster's Revolving Cannon with their other skills. The chat box can be moved and adjusted to different sizes to your preference, or you can even have it appear outside of the game's window. While chatting with players, you can right-click their character or their character name in chat to access extra options, including adding them to your buddy list or sending them a private message via whispering. The different tabs on the chat can keep track of conversations from different groups of people, and you can even make your own customized chat tab. We recommend using this tab to include everything except for system to avoid game messages cluttering the chat when you want to socialize. You can direct your conversations to specific groups of people by clicking the button on the bottom left, using one of the chat keybinds, or by pressing tab while in chat. There's even the option to create private chat rooms with up to 5 other players using MapleChat. Along with the UI, there are plenty of game settings that can be customized, such as skill transparency, damage number effects, and low HP and MP alerts. We recommend playing around with the game settings to personalize the game to your preferences. The Maple Guide can be a great in-game resource to help players find where to go or what to do in the game. Expanding the window can show the game's suggested path for progression, and can also teleport you directly into suggested quests and areas to immediately start leveling up. If you complete the tutorial quests from clicking on the star icons, you can also earn additional experience as well. Apart from completing quests and dungeons, the alchemy profession is one of the recommended ways for low-level characters to get potions. While they take some time to make, they can be much cheaper compared to buying similar potions from NPC item shops. As a character levels up and has their equipment enhanced, their HP will increase to the point where potions that restore flat values won't be as effective anymore. This is when potions that restore a percentage of your max HP such as elixirs, power elixirs, and ginger ales become far better choices. Elixirs and power elixirs are obtainable from bosses and events, while ginger ales are obtainable by going to Zipangu Ninja Castle and following the example shown to access the secret NPC shop that sells them. Opening the world map window allows you to see the current layout of the area you are in and how each map is connected to each other. The drop-down menus allow you to see all the different regions and continents of the Maple world, and left-clicking or right-clicking on the map will zoom in or out respectively to show the geography of the world. Double-clicking on the map will start the navigation system, which will direct you to the selected map. If a hyper-teleport rock is in the player's inventory, they can instantly teleport to that map. Not every map is able to be navigated or teleported into, as some of them are accessed in a specific way instead. The navigation system is best used in conjunction with the search function, where you can search for a monster, an NPC, or the name of a map, in which any results will be highlighted in the world map after clicking on a search result. To travel quickly around the Maple world, the best method is to use the portal in Pantheon, as it can be used to warp to any town in the game. Here are some demonstrations on how to get to the portal quickly. In every town, there are the same points of interest that you can instantly access by using the Quick Move button, which includes the Dimensional Mirror, which gives access to many bosses and dungeons. You can also use the Boss Matchmaking queue to warp to boss fights quickly. There are many ways to get stronger in the game, and we recommend trying and experimenting with each of the following methods to get a feel for the various systems that the game offers. As mentioned before with other things, we will have individual guides for each of these methods eventually in the future. Individually, each of these upgrade systems may not contribute to a character's damage significantly, and some may also be tedious to do since so many of these systems rely on pure RNG, but every MapleStory player looking to take their character into the hardest parts of the game will want to invest into each and every one of these systems. MapleStory has a basic metric to gauge how strong your character is called damage range. Hovering over a piece of equipment will reveal if it will increase or decrease a character's damage range. If a character has more than one ring or pendant equipped, you can cycle through them by clicking the scroll wheel. The game also considers equipment set effects when calculating damage range difference, so while a piece of equipment may seem weaker, the set effect that is a part of can end up making it stronger. To check if an equipment has a set effect, hover over a piece of equipment and hold right-click. Overall equips take up both the top and bottom slot when equipped, so when comparing a bottom to an overall, the game will end up comparing the bottom to nothing. You have to combine the difference of a top and bottom to determine the actual damage range difference with an overall. There are other stats that won't visually affect a character's damage range, but can potentially contribute more to a character's damage. Some of these stats include boss damage, ignore defense, and critical damage, so as players progress through the game, damage range becomes just one of the many other stats to gauge how strong a character is. In the early beginning of the game, the main way to obtain stronger and higher level equipment is from monster drops, NPC shops, and quests. Later on, most of the better equipment is acquired from bosses and tougher dungeons. Players on regular servers are also able to buy and sell loot and gear from other players in the auction house, and oftentimes it's actually easier to acquire equipment that way. As the game updates and new equipment gets added, the equipment players look for will change as well, so it's best to look up an equipment guide to see what players are currently looking for. There are excellent guides written by community members that we highly recommend checking out in the description below for more details in this matter. Making mesos at the beginner level is very similar to any RPG game. By picking up all the loot from monsters and bosses and selling them to NPCs, players can make a few million mesos easily. This is why a lot of players recommend getting a pet, as they automatically pick up items when they walk over them. There are various ways to get a pet for free in the game, but the earliest you can get a free pet is from the quest "Have you learned about pets?" from the quest notifier at level 33. Many bosses drop an item called the Intense Power Crystal, which you can sell to the collector NPC in the free market for various amounts of mesos depending on the difficulty of the boss. By repeatedly killing bosses, players can accumulate a considerable amount of mesos over time. There are also other dungeons and bosses that reward mesos directly, such as Ursus, Maple Tour, and Friday boxes from Monster Park. Regular server players can also utilize the auction house to sell items to other players for more mesos compared to selling them to NPCs. Some of the common things to sell when starting out are spell traces, crafting materials, familiar cards, and drops from elite monsters and bosses. There are many other ways to earn mesos through the auction house, so it's best to explore and learn the economy for the server. Nowadays, since everybody is on the move to get their dailies and grinding done, it can be difficult to find other players just to chat with. This is why joining a guild is an excellent way to meet lots of different people in-game, but it's just as easy to meet and talk to people outside of the game as well. There are a variety of Discord servers dedicated for MapleStory players, from the official MapleStory Discord created by Nexon to community-created Discords that focus on specific game servers or components of the game. We even have our own Discord server for players to ask questions and get some help from other players as well. A list of MapleStory Discord servers that we recommend to join will be, again, in the description down below. Most of the game's monetization comes from several gambling elements, tempting players at the chance for amazing jackpot rewards. From powerful stats with the potential system, to rare equipment in the Marvel machine, even cosmetics are used to attract players to gamble for a chance at some prizes. Monetization can also come from convenience items like slot expansions, pets, and hyper teleport rocks. But despite the heavy monetization, MapleStory still frequently offers players the opportunity to get a lot of cash-related rewards for free just from playing the game. Through things like Fairy Bro's daily attendance rewards, the reward point system, and events commonly rewarding cosmetics and cash items. And in contrast to what has been said earlier, many cash shop sales do allow players to buy items and outfits directly rather than needing to open a loot box for a chance to obtain the cosmetics they want. There's also exclusive benefits for players on both Reboot and regular servers respectively, which we have covered in detail in our server guide. There are many repeatable daily and weekly quests and bosses to do in the game. Since the game runs on UTC time and resets at midnight every day, knowing the daily reset time for your own time zone is important for time management and knowing your deadlines. For weekly resets, it depends on the content. Bosses that can be cleared weekly are reset when Thursday hits, while quests and dungeon rankings such as Dark World Tree and Haven, Dream Defender, and Dojo resets on Mondays. Nowadays, MapleStory is focused around solo training, and as a result, there have been community-imposed rules about map etiquette. While the imposed rules may vary by server, the general understanding is that if you leave the map for any reason, like for MVP casts or for a bounty hunter portal, you run the risk of losing it, especially if it's a popular training map. This is why it's helpful for players to ask friends or guildmates to occupy the map while they're away. And if you're holding a map, you actually have to be fighting in it. You can't just sit in a chair and AFK and claim ownership of the map. For less popular maps, there can be a little more leniency about ownership when leaving a map, since people don't expect other players to walk into their map. In any case, it's better to remember to be communicative and understanding with people so no confusion or conflicts are caused. Recently, MapleStory has finally published some much needed updated beginner guides on their website, which has greatly helped lower the duration and workload for this video. We highly recommend new players to check out the web page for any extra information that may not be in this video. Despite Nexon's shortcomings, MapleStory at its core can be a fun game experience. Its relatively simple gameplay supported by the art style and the iconic music has been the reason why the game has grown into the popular brand that everyone has grown to love. While the game can be really fun for casual play, its steep grindy progression that's centralized around RNG makes hardcore gameplay potentially toxic to players, as there has yet to be a forgiveness or fail stack mechanic in the game. Many new or returning players have a mindset of needing to catch up with everybody else to the point where they need to know everything about progressing and the most efficient way of doing things. But it's important to remember that MapleStory is not a race, it's a marathon. It's an adventure. It's a game that's about the destination as much as it is about the journey, and everybody has their own very long path to get there. There were many more things we wanted to cover in this video, but we picked out the topics that we thought were most important for beginner players. If you have any questions about things that we weren't able to cover, please leave a comment down below. Want to help out with guides? Join our Discord server to participate in discussions and get updates. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode for more comprehensive Maple.